Hi there, I'm Dan Kahn, a undergraduate game development major here at DePaul University at the CDM. I'm here with Mirza Baig, who is an associate software engineer at NetherRealm Studios. How are you, Mirza?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking.
So tell us about your work at NetherRealm and your job as associate software engineer.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm an associate software engineer. I work on the core tech engine team, and I'm a programmer on the team, obviously from the software engineer title. So what I typically do is I work on in-house tools, whether that be fixing bugs or adding new features for the artists to work on content for the game, or I'll work on underlying engine systems, things like the animation system or the rendering system, physics, things like that. It's less of the actual gameplay logic and more of the core technology systems.
You started as an intern, right? Would you mind talking about the internship and how you got the internship and what those duties were as an intern at NetherRealm?
Yeah, I started as an intern there while I was during my senior year at DePaul, actually. I found out about the internship, actually, because one of the employees there came and talked to my capstone class, and he talked about the internship program and the studio in general. So then I applied through there, and they were impressed with the background from DePaul, so that worked out well. And I started there pretty much just a couple months before graduation. And it was a very rewarding internship. One of the things I like to say is it's not like menial tasks that they give out for interns there where, okay, go fetch coffee for the developers, things like that. They give actual work that needs to be done. So things like if there's a bug that's blocking artists, something like one of the first tasks I worked on was the senior FX artist who makes all the cool particle systems that really wow people when they're looking at the games. He was getting really cryptic error messages when he was trying to save, and it gets kind of frustrating after a while. So that's not blocking something major, so the full-time guys had more important things to look at, but obviously that's something I could look into, and I was able to clear that up for him, and he was very grateful for that. Yeah, that's sort of, I guess, a brief description of the tasks that I work on.
Do you feel your classes here at DePaul help prepare you for the internship and for working post-graduation?
Oh, definitely. There's actually the interns we have at NetherRealm right now. The majority of them are from DePaul. So pretty early on, when they brought me on, they realized how strong the game development program at DePaul was, and how well it trained people to enter the industry. And a big part of that probably is Ed Keenan, actually, a big professor at DePaul. He not only was in the industry years back, he actually used to work at the company I'm currently at. The same person that hired me was hired by Ed Keenan several years back. Cool little story there. But so a lot of the big changes he's making to the program, I think, have really benefited it. Now, I can only speak to it, the programming aspect, obviously. I can't speak to the production design or art phases, but for the programming classes, a lot of the technologies we use, whether it be Perforce or Visual Studio, things like that, are the same tools that you'll be using in the industry day one when you start. So having that experience on your resume, being able to just jump right in without being trained up on that was definitely very useful. And the actual programming knowledge, I think the CS classes at DePaul did a pretty good job at that. And then sort of beyond that, when it's not just programming, just game dev in general, I think one of the strengths of the game dev degree was the collaborative nature that was instilled in game dev students pretty early on. That's very indicative of how the industry actually is. So I thought that the classes really prepped you well for that.
Did you participate in any game jams while you were a student at DePaul University?
Yeah, the yearly global game jam that's hosted at DePaul, I did that a couple of times while I was a student. I've actually been back since graduating to do it again. And also the game development club at DePaul, DFrag, they used to host Project Nightlight. It's a game jam spread out over a couple weeks, so it's a bit more long-term, but I participated in that in a couple years. I actually ran it 1 year as well. So game jams are definitely a very useful tool for getting some more experience, and definitely take advantage of that a lot.
Do you have any advice for current students to be more marketable, whether looking for internships or for jobs post-graduation?
Sure. Whether it be internships or full-time work, I think the biggest thing that you need to have is a strong portfolio and resume showing actual work you can do. They're not going to want to just hire a fancy resume or just a fancy speech you can give them. They want to actually see what you've accomplished. So whether that be extracurricular games done at game jams like you mentioned, or just side projects, working on open source projects if you're a programmer, things like that. But just getting as much work done outside of class, I think, helps prove your dedication and commitment to the industry, and also can show your talent, show where your strengths lie. So that's probably the best advice I'd give. Obviously, if you can get an internship somewhere, that's probably the best thing possible. Not only do you get your foot in the door, but also for your own knowledge, you can actually get a better understanding of how the day-to-day work actually is and determine for yourself if that's actually where you want to go, or maybe you want to go in a slightly different discipline. So yeah, if you can always go for that, I'd say give it a shot. Even if it's not actually a game dev job, if you have a non-game dev internship, that's still very useful, and you can always take those skills that you learned there and try applying them to game development.
All right, thanks for joining us today, Mirza. For students out there who'd like more advice from industry professionals and the chance to network with them, check out ask.depaul.edu. Thanks again, Mirza.
Thanks.